to MINDSHOCK True Crime. You are listening to the Missing in Panama series. The disappearance of KRIS KREMERS and LISANNE FROON in Panama. Under some very strange circumstances that a lot of coincidence theorists pretend are not strange. But here on MINDSHOCK, we upturn every stone, examine every single possible variable and theory that has been put forth on the interwebs, attempting to not fall for any logical fallacies in the meantime, unlike any other podcast or documentary out there. Again, in an attempt all to solve the case definitively, because there's so many problems with this case. From the timeline to the alleged remains being recovered, to the testing on the remains, the timeline of the remains, and just the investigation as a whole, just incredibly problematic from every angle. So, this is, of course, episode 4. We'll be continuing our examinations in the local gang theory. And this strange photograph of women who may or may not be KRIS and LISANNE in this swimming photo. And the strange amount of deaths that occurred of individuals supposedly in this photo or associated with. I mean, very, very strange. I mean, the coincidence stack a mile high, but of course the coincidence theorists write it all off as mere coincidence. But those with critical thinking abilities and those who understand what logic and reason is can examine deeper, which is what we do on MINDSHOCK. If you want to help support the podcast, help logic and reason return to a world where it's quickly going extinct, and keep up awareness in unsolved cases, missing persons cases, wrongful convictions, and more, you can donate to our PayPal. Just check the link in the description. Make sure to subscribe, like, and share Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, and Patreon. Patrons do get priority for case topic, logical analysis, co-podcaster requests. You could also be a guest in the podcast depending on your tier. Questions, comments, theories, thoughts, suggestions, rebuttals, debunkings of any kind, leave them in the comment section. Unless, of course, you're with us here live, then drop them in the live chat. I'll try to get to all of them. So we're going to pick up pretty much where we left off. Unless anybody has any questions right off the bat here, make sure you've checked out the previous episodes. So, okay, we're going to go to the channel, which did a lot of investigation here. We went over one of their videos in the previous episode. We'll be going over part 2 here with even more information here on the local gang theory.
Al pasar el tiempo y con las búsquedas sin resultado, hemos pensado que hay un crimen detrás de esto. Pensamos que puede haber un grupo de personas que se las llevó sin su consentimiento.
let me bring up the visual graphic of what happened here with these strange deaths, which the coincidence theorists claim is all mere coincidence. So, yeah, as you can see here, this is the timeline of the photos, lost cell signals, emergency calls. We've gone over this all on the first 3 episodes. I'm not going to go over all of this again. But here in red, you see all the strange deaths popping up and how they align with the timeline of the case, which is very, very curious here. So I'm just going to leave this up here as this video is going to go more into these particular individuals.
De aquí en adelante surgen rumores. Uno de ellos es que pudieron ser interceptadas por desconocidos.
Para mí ellas no están aquí, la tienen que haberse trasladado a otro lado. Esperemos, ¿verdad?, que Dios quiera, pues, y sea indicio, pero sí está difícil este caso, ya digo, porque si hubiera estado dentro de la montaña, nosotros ya la hubiéramos encontrado.
Por varios días el tema del plagio de las jóvenes tomaba fuerza ante la infructuosa búsqueda en el área boscosa. Pero una tercera pista apunta a posible asalto contra estas turistas. Esta no sería la primera vez. De hecho, aseguran que hace unos meses una pareja de esposos fue atacada cuando hacían este recorrido.
Se está dando la situación de que indígenas que residen en las áreas observan.
So this is really interesting. So these local news reports that the coincidence theorists all pretend are all like fabricated, they're saying that indigenous people actually assault them? And that this happened to a married couple shortly before? I mean, that's curious. That's definitely curious. One of the theories is, of course, that the girls observed something they should not have, and that led to some kind of situation.
A los turistas al momento de llegar. Cuando salen del área los asaltan, ya sea con arma blanca, y les quitan todo lo de valor que estos llevan con ellos.
¿Qué pasó en el sendero El Pianista? Mudo testigo de la desaparición de KRIS y LISANNE, jóvenes holandesas de visita en Panamá. ¿Trata con fines sexuales, privadas de libertad o en manos de la mafia?
Pasado el primer mes, hay pocos datos concretos. La unidad de análisis de casos complejos del Ministerio Público intervino. Muchos temen que la desaparición de ellas va mucho más allá de los bosques profundos.
Comenta que es sumamente raro que chicas como estas se hayan desaparecido de esa forma sin dejar ninguna pista de nada. Por lo menos alguna huella, si ellas perdieron el sendero, al pasar tal vez alguna cerca o algo, algún trozo de la ropa de ellos, pudiese haberse notado.
Con las búsquedas ya se hubieran encontrado.
Con las búsquedas se hubieran encontrado. Yo, para mí, no tardaba más de una semana por muchos problemas que hubiera habido, que las chicas se hubieran accidentado y si hubiera por los animales, por cosas, no hubiera visto la presencia de gallotas, de cosas, y se hubiera encontrado. O sea, parte de su pertenencia o lo que hubiera sido, pero se hubiera encontrado. Ya para mí ahí tiene que haber algo, tiene que haber participación de la gente en algo que no es bueno.
Las situaciones que pudiéramos estar enfrentando y que no se puede descartar es que pudiesen haber sido agredidas y trasladadas a otro sitio y después ocurrir otras acciones que hasta el momento impidan su ubicación real.
Al principio pensábamos que había subido al sendero y no encontraron el camino para volver a casa y se quedaron perdidas en el sendero. Pero al pasar el tiempo y con las búsquedas sin resultado, hemos pensado que hay un crimen detrás de esto. Pensamos que puede haber un grupo de personas que se las llevó sin su consentimiento. Estamos muy preocupados por saber lo que ha pasado. Lo que más nos preocupa es que alguien se las haya llevado con fines nada buenos. Nos preocupa muchísimo. Y que aquí hay dos personas que están sufriendo muchísimo, que son padres. Esas personas que saben algo más de dónde están ubicadas esas dos chicas.
Uiteindelijk als je naar boven klimt en je bent verdwaald, dan hoef je eigenlijk op het moment dat je een berg opgaat, hoef je maar één weg terug en dat is terug naar beneden. Het is niet zo dat je, als je in een uitgebreid vlak terrein verdwaalt, dan is dat een stuk lastiger. Op een berg ga je gewoon terug naar beneden, dus die kans is ook niet zo heel erg groot. Dus dan blijven er niet zo heel veel scenario's, maar de kans is toch groot, wat ik net aangeef, dat ze op de terugweg de verkeerde zijn tegengekomen, dat ze misschien in een auto zijn meegenomen, tegen hun wil of meegelokt. En dat er toch een misdrijf in het spel is. En dan kun je denken aan een levensdelict, een zedendelict.
My men say, no be here. But in my heart, maybe that is some hope. It's maybe a little possibility.
Manuel Burak wordt door de gemeente elke dag de berg ingestuurd om te zoeken naar sporen van Lisanne en KRIS. Hij zoekt met heel zijn hart, maar weet eigenlijk ook dat wat hij doet zinloos is.
I try maybe some people with the bad intention maybe take the girl, you know.
Otro testigo que las ve estaba en la tienda Nelita. Eran las 3:30 y cuenta que una de las chicas se veía enferma.
Me encontraba aquí en esta tiendita atendiendo a los clientes, pero en el momento yo estaba, eran como las 2:30, 3 de la tarde cuando las muchachas bajaron, sí. Pero una sí bajó, la más gordita que iba en una licra negra y la otra la alcancé a ver pero cuando iba allá abajo, porque la otra iba por este lado. Pero no pudo, se fue por allá porque como la piedra era suelta, la muchacha se fue de largo y allá en la vuelta fue que se logró ver nada más. Sí, lo que sí que la que iba aquí iba bien agobiada, bien estropeada, parece de caminar mucho.
Yeah, again, very telling that the entire timeline is kind of put into question with some of these sightings, as if they had already returned from their hike. If so, who picked them up and where did they go after?
Y sí, contenta sí, pero de ahí no le puedo decir si las muchachas bajaron hasta el pueblo, se devolvieron en un taxi, si bajaron en taxi no sé, pero yo hasta la vuelta la alcancé a ver.
De los hechos, Expedientes Nets pudo constatar que hay un letrero que tiene el nombre de los dos senderos, el Pianista y Sendero de Lino, y que es usual que algunos taxistas y turistas se confundan, por lo que no es difícil asumir que las chicas fueron dejadas allí al principio, pensando que este era el sendero que querían visitar. El dueño de la casa de Pedro las ve. El testigo que prefirió hablar fuera de cámara nos contó que las vio llegar y le preguntaron si ese era el sendero del pianista, pero él les contestó que no, que era el sendero Piedra de Lino y que este era muy bonito porque se podía ver Boquete entero. Las chicas, refiere el testigo, ingresaron al sendero de Piedra de Lino y como 15 minutos después las vio bajar, por lo que les preguntó si habían subido y dijeron que sí. Pero el testigo reitera que sabía que éstas no habían llegado a la cima porque hacerlo tomaba más de 45 minutos. Expedientes Nets investigó el recorrido de Lisanne y KRIS ese lunes. La mañana había estado soleada y cerca del mediodía, el primer registro de su presencia se da en el sendero de Alto Lino.
¿Y qué te acuerdas de ella? ¿Qué fue lo que viste de ella?
Bueno, como yo estaba aquí, yo o sea, no reparo la persona, bueno, solamente veo la cara porque ella pasó y me dijo. Sí, sí. Y entonces no reparé más, o sea, no reparo porque esto es un sendero del turismo y
¿Iban solos?
solo, sí.
Hay dos testimonios, entre estos el del taxista, que señalan que tiempo después de la subida de estas muchachas, vieron un vehículo todoterreno. Llegan al acto.
De aanpak door de opsporingsinstanties die hebben te lang de zaak eigenlijk beschouwd als een mogelijk ongeval of een mogelijke verdwaling en hebben niet ingezet op het echte goed opsporingsonderzoek. En dat is, ja, daardoor is hele cruciale tijd verloren gegaan. Binnen een aantal uren of eigenlijk dagen, maar liefst nog sneller, moet je dan toch ook wel gewoon getuigen echt goed intensief gaan verhoren. Je moet technisch onderzoek doen, je moet onderzoek doen naar telefoon.
De cómo se vaya a perder una muchacha por este sendero que era tranquilo antes. Y eso pone a la gente a pensar y mucha gente ya no quiere subir por ahí porque piensa que todas las veces que eso van a...
These are the photos that we have.
Esas son las fotos que tenemos.
Okay, so this is the river. Yes, saw these.
¿Había visto esto? Esta es la... She says that's up in Pianista. On the other side.
On the other side of where?
Oh, the divide. He says it's on that side, it's on their side.
He's saying that that is on the Buquete side of the Continental Divide. Well, I just want to get this super clear. This photo is not taken on this side of the divide.
Esta foto no es tomada de este lado. No.
The official story is that the girls hiked the Pianista Trail to the Continental Divide and then continued onto the Serpent Trail and then died at the Monkey Bridge. But Luis knows these trails better than anyone, and he says without a doubt that this photo was taken hours after the girls reached the Continental Divide and shows them hiking on the Pianista Trail back towards Buquete. And that means that they would have never even gone to the Serpent Trail.
La otra la alcancé a ver, pero cuando iba allá abajo, porque la otra iba por este lado. Pero no pudo, se fue por allá, porque como la piedra era suelta, la muchacha se fue de largo y allá en la vuelta fue que se logró ver nada más. Sí, lo que sí que la que iba aquí iba bien agobiada, bien estropeada, parece de caminar mucho. Y sí, contenta sí, pero de ahí no le puedo decir si las muchachas bajaron hasta el pueblo, se devolvieron en un taxi. Si bajaron en taxi, no sé, pero yo hasta la vuelta la alcancé a ver.
Others stating that they saw the girls return from their hike. One local resident, an American, states that the girls came back and asked him how to get back into town and where to get a taxi.
So who's following here? Allegedly. So, huh. The second time, see, yeah, there's some kind of major issue. There's definitely some kind of major issue with the timeline. So the allegations here, the different hairstyles and the anomalies, so to speak, with all the photos. There's something off about everything here. Yeah, this is curious here. Who's wearing the backpack on the way there, the way back, and the hairstyle? So the theory here put forth in this video is that they were approached by Henry and Jose and accompanied by Osman. Now, the theory is that they returned to their host family's house first to get the swimsuits. The allegation is that tour guide F went back to the house here and rearranged things to seem like they never returned from the hike. So is this a case of tour guide F and his family somehow trying to possibly throw blame to anywhere and everywhere other than themselves, regardless of who's responsible? Like, for example, tour guide F might have not had anything to do with anything directly, but perhaps either his son or other people, other family members. So that's why there were certain comments about natives, etc. And this is a curiosity because the stop at the pharmacy, where just coincidentally the CCTV footage goes missing, this is Jorge's mother owns the pharmacy. I mean, the amount of coincidence here is insane. And of course, Jorge, one of the strange deaths afterwards, April 6th. I mean, this is tough. This is tough. And the Caldera Springs is 45-minute drive from Boquete. So now this is really creepy because according to this theory, the first calls would have been from the vehicle as they're driving when they get a bad feeling about all this. So the calls are made 12 minutes apart, not consistent with an emergency. Yeah, that's an interesting point here too, From the time the first emergency calls were made, there are no cliffs, ravines, or slopes where they could have fallen or gotten hurt. Just in terms of the timeline here. So this theory is that the photo at the springs is the deleted photo. Supposedly, the swimming photo was recovered from Osman Valenzuela's cell phone after his death. The photo was saved under the name KRIS with a C in Osman's phone. After Osman's death, Henry posted this on Facebook. So I actually mentioned this, I think, in episode 1, that it's definitely odd that everybody knows everybody. From the tour guide, the school where they were supposed to work, the host family. Everybody knows everybody and the tour guides. Here they're saying that tour guide F actually gave the girls a ride from the school to the host family home. Yeah, this is all just way too creepy. Here it's stating that Bocas del Toro is known as Narco Island because of the amount of drug traffickers that freely roam the streets.
Ik dacht ook dat Boquete zo'n mooi idyllisch dorpje was in een schitterende vallei. Maar als je werkelijk daar achter de schermen kijkt, dan is er van alles aan de hand. De cocaïne die daar dus vrijelijk te verkrijgen valt. En de georganiseerde misdaad die daar toch ook zich gevestigd.
Yeah, I mean, audio's here. I'm just letting this video play, but... Yeah, I mean, the coincidence stack is pretty high with Henry here. He's familiar with the Caldera Springs area. He's a hiker. I mean, all the connections to the tour guides. I mean, this is not looking good. Wow, so the allegation here is that Plinio is the tourist spotter for a cartel? Wow. Interesting. The allegations here, quite mind-shocking.
Het is gewoon door de decennia heen, door de eeuwen heen, een verbinding, Lucas, boeketten.
Al río donde se encontraron las cosas está aproximadamente a 2 días desde aquí.
Andando
si sabe el camino, exacto, 2 días. No puedo decir que pudo haber sucedido. Un área muy difícil para caminar. Es un área que tiene mucho lodo, lugares que resbalan, muchos cañones, ríos. En estas áreas cualquier cosa puede suceder.
Son las 6 de la mañana y me encuentro acá en Boquete, justo al sendero que conduce al área del pianista, un área. Voy con un guía, el señor Ezequiel Miranda, que tiene años de conocer el sector, es guía y también conservacionista.
Yeah, this is really curious. Coincidental, some might say. All these people know each other that just so happen to be at the areas where the girls had been. I mean, I don't know. The coincidence stack here is just so high. Like, they definitely could have crossed paths with some shady individuals, and all these shady individuals know each other? Like, how much crime is there in the area? And I would like to know how many bodies normally show up. Like, is this unusual here with the timeline? Like, these happen to be people that are implicated here with connection to the girls. How many other bodies have popped up? And, I mean, do bodies always pop up? Or do they never pop up? In which case, this would be that much more coincidental. So here they're implicating the director of the Arua school. See, I don't know if I would go that far. Perhaps this was done without their knowledge. Because apparently other Dutch tourists have been there successfully. So, I mean, it's kind of weird for this to be set up that much. I mean, I don't know. Some people are pointing to the fact that this was all set up from the get-go, but I don't know. I don't know. Court of public opinion in the chat. What do you think here? I mean, people definitely call me a conspiracy theorist. I mean, I'm definitely not a coincidence theorist, but for the director of the entire school to be complicit, that's again, I'm not going to appeal to incredulity and say it's impossible. It seems to me that this could have potentially been more of a crime of opportunity by some local scumbags that may have had family connections that have helped cover it up from them, as opposed to staged from the get-go. It's tough, though. It's tough. I mean, it's creepy either way. Court of public opinion says because she gave them the idea they had a job, but they didn't. It could have potentially just been some crossed communication wires. Because didn't other people have a job there? So, I mean, it's probably not the most organized place in the world. So, you know, every now and then, you know, there could be things, you know, communication problems. It's so difficult to, I mean, for them to have staged it that far out, I just don't know. I just don't know. Like local scumbags who happen to have family connections with all these places just, you know, wanted to maybe party with the girls and not even harm them, but when the girls weren't down for their type of partying, things could have went wrong fast. Also, regardless of how much of a scumbag tour guide F is, if he is a scumbag, would he be setting up his son to murder tourists? I mean, I don't know. I think it's more, it just seems, again, fallacies or not, sometimes I commit fallacies, I try not to. It just seems, would a father be setting up Dutch tourist girls to be specifically murdered or trafficked by his son? You know, especially somebody that well known. I mean, many Dutch tourists have hiked this area. They left reviews for Tour Guide F. Some of them are good reviews. Some of them say he was creepy and did creepy stuff. But those people all returned home. So, yeah, I don't know that this was all some elaborate setup from the get-go. Whereas it seems like if, you know, some of these scumbag gang members, if things got out of hand, potentially their family members would have covered for them, possibly begrudgingly. Like, they didn't want to cover for them, but they just didn't want this to, you know, spiral out of control in an international incident, whatever. So they did what they did. Obviously, no excuse, but to just group everybody together as if they're all setting up these girls to be killed or trafficked, I mean, I don't know. And this is the only time they've ever done that? Like, how many other young tourists have gone missing here? Supposedly, not many. Maybe like one guy. I think there was one missing guy. Yeah, this photo is a curiosity. They're alleging here the only purpose for the swimming photo is for Henry to have leverage. Everyone in this photo would turn up dead within a year of this photo being taken. Yeah, I don't know how leverage would work. Is it possible they just took the photo again because they were having fun in the moment? Not for leverage, because look how blurry it is. I mean, it's kind of tough to definitively confirm. I mean, the guys kind of look like the guys, but these two girls may or may not be them, but it's just too blurry. So I don't know if this is an entire elaborate setup with leverage photos and absolutely everybody being in on everything. But that doesn't mean that these gang members didn't do something. Now, I don't know where they're getting this information from. Shortly after the swimming photo was taken, the group was packing to leave when Henry and Jose pulled out guns. Osmond had a machete. Like, where's this information coming from? Is this like second or third hand testimony? They wouldn't even necessarily need guns, right? They could just pull out knives. Originally, the gang were supposed to immediately deliver the girls to Plinio Montenegro and his associate, where the girls would be trafficked through Bocas del Toro to Costa Rica and sold into a human trafficking network. But Henry had other ideas. Okay, so why these two particular girls to traffic? And are there other tourists that were trafficked that simply were not reported missing or reported missing from a different area because they never said where they were going? I mean, we don't really know, but it's just tough. This is just a one-off. I mean, it seems kind of weird. Or if these are kind of newer, younger gang members, perhaps they were trying to branch out into human trafficking and this was going to be their first trafficking job? I mean, I don't know. Court of Public Opinion says, I heard it wasn't them in the pic, not the girls. There were other Dutch girls he liked and partied with. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird because supposedly the other redhead, there was another redhead he partied with, but she was like really heavy set and older. Like someone did photo comparisons. So I don't know if it's that easy to dismiss the photo. It might be them. Henry and Jose forced the girls to walk behind the tree line. Osmond would object because it wasn't part of the plan. Once the girls made it behind the tree line, they were forced to take their clothes off. At this time, Henry and Jose would begin to sexually assault the girls. Chris would fight back, causing Henry to hit Chris in the head with a gun, leaving a deep cut in the right side of her head. Osmond wanted no part in the assault and returned to the car. Henry and Jose took turns with the girls. This is dark stuff. Hopefully that's not true. The girls were then forced to walk a short distance to an abandoned cabin where they were to be held. Henry then left to return his father's off-road vehicle and contact Plinio. By this time, Plinio's associate grew suspicious because the girls hadn't arrived and he backed out, forcing Plinio to back out because he couldn't transport the girls alone. See, some kind of weird situation with things going wrong. Now, this is a little bit more possible in terms of... See, even in the Amy Bradley case, like a lot of goofs hallucinate, oh, it definitely wasn't some kind of human trafficking plan from the get-go. Well, who said it was? Some kind of sexual assault gone wrong, and then if you don't want to kill the victims, would you just try to find someone to traffic them instead because you don't want to be a murderer? I mean, there's you know, among the scumbag... I mean, there's all sorts of different types of scumbags. There's scumbags that'll assault people, but they don't want to murder people. So they'd rather just, you know, sell people, try to make money. They don't want to murder people. That's a certain line for certain scumbags that they just don't want to cross that line. Especially if, I mean, it's weird. It's weird. So things going wrong is totally believable regardless of what happened. Murphy's Law. It's weird. Like, coincidence theorists have never heard of Murphy's Law. They always spam false dichotomies. Either it was a complete setup from the get-go, or it was just, you know, accidental. Like, they just don't have the mental capacity to understand that things go wrong. Plans change, even for criminals. This would leave Henry in a situation where he'd have to decide the girl's fate. Osmond set up camp outside the cabin, leaving Jose alone inside with the girls. Henry wouldn't return to the cabin the next day. Following morning, Chris asked Jose to use the bathroom. Jose, how does this person know this? I mean, these are kind of creepy details where you would just think to write them off. But if it was some kind of an account, even if it was a rumor, there's certain specifics here that are very creepy. Jose took Chris into the jungle, told Osmond to watch out for Lisanne. Osmond stayed outside the cabin. Lisanne took advantage of the opportunity, retrieved her cell phone from the backpack that it was in the front room of the cabin. April 2nd, 6:58 a.m. call. Lisanne places a call to Dutch Emergency Services. After Jose escorted Chris to the back room of the cabin, went outside to speak with Osmond, which turned into a small argument. Osmond walks off, leaving Jose alone. Osmond rejected the Osmond rejected the idea, didn't want to return to any part of the new situation. After the argument, Jose... I hope this is all not true. This is terrible. Supposedly further assaults here. Chris starts to attempt a second emergency call. Jose and Lisanne return to the cabin. Chris immediately tried to power down the phone. In the process, she accidentally took the screenshot at 8:14 a.m. 10:53 a.m. April 2nd attempts to call Lisanne. Okay, Lisanne attempts another call. 1:56. Short period of time later, Henry returns, accompanied by Jorge. They would bring food and supply. Jorge informed Henry about Osmond. They both felt Osmond was a loose end, had to be dealt with. Osmond knew the location, so they decided to move the girls to a cave. Jose and Jorge would stay at the cave, watch the girls. Henry would leave and pick up Heriberto to help him search for Osmond. The following video is proof of their stay at the cave. It shows evidence recovered by the search parties, which was dismissed by Panamanian authorities.
Alejada del camino y en el mismo lugar había una especie como de un refugio, como una pequeña cueva, y en donde se ve que las personas estuvieron sentadas ahí.
¿Qué encontraron?
Objetos comestibles, galletas, jugo y otro tipo de elementos como picaronas se encontraron en ese lugar.
¿Y un pelo también?
Sí, se encontró un cabello con una plantilla de zapatillas, pero no estamos seguros que sean de ellos, por eso que estamos investigando.
Bueno, aquí he podido encontrar esta bolsa con unas galletas, jugo, un cartón de papaya, jugo de papaya con piña. Por aquí hay bastante paquetes, pan.
And no gloves or anything. I mean, the scene's completely contaminated, but you probably still could get DNA off of it. I mean, did they never test any of this stuff for DNA?
Y una suela de... No pareciera de zapato. No sé si de zapatilla. Aquí la pueden encontrar. Como la pueden ver, aquí hay un limpio. Y ahí se encuentra esto. Ahorita mismo me encuentro como a 2-3 kilómetros de la Pandura.
On the night of April 2nd, Henry and Heriberto finally catch up with Osmond. Osmond was picked up by Henry and Heriberto, driven to a discreet location where struggle broke out. Osmond was then drowned by Henry and Heriberto. Yeah, these are very specific details. I wonder how this person knows all this. Osmond reported missing April 3rd by his family. Body later found in the river. Following morning, April 3rd, Lisanne would ask to use the restroom. After Lisanne was escorted out of the cave, KRIS would turn on her phone and attempt to reach emergency services. I mean, this kind of does explain some of the calls, like in the timeline of the calls, but April 3rd, 9:33 a.m., KRIS places a call to emergency services. Last attempt. With Osmond out of the way, Henry now has to decide KRIS and Lisanne's fate. This is when Heriberto suggested that Henry contact Vega, who would put Henry in contact with Edwin, son of the Saberson family, the owners of the restaurant where the girls had brunch. Edwin and Saberson family had connections to local cartels in Costa Rica, and Bocas del Toro dealt in organ harvesting. Yeah, I think I mentioned this. The movie Turistas is pretty creepy. Morning of April 3rd, Vega arranges a meeting. At the conclusion of the meeting, there was an agreement reached. Agreement was for Henry to deliver one set of human lungs. Morning, April 10th, undisclosed location. They were delivered, wasn't disclosed whose lungs it was. Details what happened between April 3rd and April 10th. I'm looking further into the missing days. We'll make a follow-up video for our part 3 conclusion.
Je zou toch langzamerhand verwachten dat er iemand komt.
Voor losgeld. Ja, maar, ja, maar we denken aan kidnap inderdaad om losgeld. Maar vader bedoelt meer kidnap, ontvoering.
Vrouwenhandel.
Oh, precies.
Vrouwenhandel.
Okay, now we're firmly in MINDSHOCK land. Most of the details in this video was provided by a single key witness. The female witness that provided this information fled to Costa Rica to seek help from authorities, where she was and is the only witness to step forward. She was dating one of the parties involved with the girl's abduction and provided key info that was ultimately suppressed by the Panamanian government. Yeah, because those are a lot of specific details. The next video is the Attorney General, Betsaida Pitti, speaking about the witness that provided information in this video.
Miren, había unos testigos que estaban en Costa Rica que me preguntaban nosotros si íbamos a hacer asistencia judicial. Ya se le tomó la declaración del testigo. Ella ha manifestado ciertas situaciones que, sabe, pues todavía estamos en la investigación, en la reserva sumaria, que nosotros vamos a confirmar.
We hebben met hem over gesproken en hij heeft daar ook afgelopen maandag in de Telegraaf wel iets over gezegd. Hij denkt inderdaad aan een kidnap. Hij zegt, ik denk dat het zo is, maar eigenlijk is het zo, hij hoopt dat het zo is. Want hij hoopt dat er sprake is van een kidnap waarbij die meisjes zijn meegenomen. Misschien, laten we zeggen, om te worden verhandeld. Hè, want dat gebeurt natuurlijk. Het gebeurt ook in Panama, mensenhandel. Of om losgeld. Dat hoopt die man heel erg en dat begrijp ik. Dat hoopt die man heel erg en dat begrijp ik.
Sí, asaltados y eso se lo sabe la policía y todo.
¿Han asaltado
Sí, sí.
a extranjeros? ¿Asaltan?
Sí, sí.
¿Cómo los asaltan? Explíqueme.
Yeah, I don't know if there's actually a part 3 was posted, which is creepy. Because if this featured all the details from the witness... Yeah, I don't see part 3. I'll keep digging, but I do not see a part 3 posted. So what does everybody think here? I mean, this really does... Huh. Court of public opinion says, if it were me, an emergency number didn't work, I'd at least text someone and attempt to have it on record. Do we know that they didn't text and the texts were deleted or whatnot? Do we know that? But yeah, I mean, the coincidence stack here is so high. I mean, it's rough. Just look at this timeline here. I mean, how do coincidence theorists cope with this timeline? All these people that are... I mean, if you're saying, okay, it's not the girls in the swimming photo, but you still have these gang members associated with the tour guides that they interacted with. So, and the school and the host family. So you still have all those connections, and the pharmacy, and the suspiciously deleted CCTV footage, and the restaurant where they had brunch. Like, you still have this web of connections, even if it's not them in that photo. But the timeline of the photo coming to light is very curious as well, so, yeah. So that's it for now. I mean, we're going to be continuing to examine the case. I'll see if part 3 is ever available. Court of public opinion says, I think no part 3 is sinister. Yeah, almost as somebody was gotten to before they could upload it. They shouldn't have announced that they were going to upload it. But if it was posted, I'll dig it up. I'll spend some time looking for it. But thanks again, everybody, for joining us for another edition of MindShock True Crime in the Missing in Panama series, The Disappearance of KRIS KREMERS and LISANNE FROON. Clearly a lot more to the case than on the surface. This is Bruce McGuire signing off. Catch you guys next time.